Does power corrupt?
The saying is, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. But I don't think it's power that corrupts. Power is just energy under conscious control. So it's not the power that corrupts, it's the way that it's identified with. So the great government leader gets some power and then makes that mean something. Or some charismatic spiritual leader gets some power and makes it mean something, thinks it means that, I'm beyond. There was stories in India of incredible things, treasures being mounted up, and extraordinary activities happening. Or in the Roman Catholic Church, the power of the priest to intercede for you with God. And then it turns out that tremendous corruption surrounding that. But it wasn't the power of the office that did it. It was who the person was being that the power was, what that person made it mean. And it's very easy to point fingers at great leaders who turn out to have been corrupted in various ways. But it's much harder to see how I am corrupted by power. Even a little increase in power, and suddenly I've got meanings going off, and my nose has gone a little bit higher up, and I'm strutting about a little bit more, because actually what's happened is I've got some energy, some power, and then I've given it a meaning, and for a moment I'm travelling in it. But of course, what you find is, and you've seen this, say, for example, with the Tory government, which is that they got a lot of power, which from whatever source, partially stolen, and then were very high end and think, right now, here we go. But actually, and then it all started to corrupt and cheating and stealing and lying. And of course, what follows next is a fall. That kind of prideful, arrogant misunderstanding of oneself that comes from having a bit of power generally leads to a fall of some kind.
Yeah, I feel that the whole notion of personal power, because it's false and it implies a person, it kind of does have a naturally corrupting effect on someone. They feel like they own the power, and that, that can be quite an ego-inflating idea.
Yeah, I mean, if we look back to the rock and roll era, where you had drug-fueled characters with big egos, having enormous power with thousands of people, making enormous amounts of money, and some of the delusions they got into were absolutely astonishing. And of course, then the way they think they're going to be famous in God forever, and then of course times change, and now you find them playing in pubs, humbled, probably really nice people now. Like I saw Wishbone Ash advertised, which was a really big band back in the day, really big band, and they're playing in a pub. But I bet you if you went to see them now, as people, they'd be kind of have a really rounded, friendly, warm vibe about them. Because, we can't, power isn't bad. Power isn't bad, it's a challenge to use it, whatever power we have, our gifts. These are powers. Our gifts to help out, our gifts to speak, our gifts to be still, our gifts to gather energy. These are challenges that have to be met. And I don't think it's true that power corrupts. It's not the power that does the corrupting. And that would mean that it had some kind of force in it that just corrupted. It's just that most people really don't know who they are, and they long to have a strong sense of identity, so that their identity crisis, their existential identity crisis, can be got over. But they find it doesn't do it. No matter how much power you have, you want more. And absolute power You can do anything you like, you lose your way. There's an amazing thing in the I Ching, which is one of the oldest oracles and treasuries of wisdom that we know of. And in there it says, he who leads goes astray, and he who follows finds guidance. And that's why you see, in the Indian Hindu tradition, the guru is always looking to his guru, who's always looking to his guru, who's always looking to his guru. And the guru in his heart has the sense of being a student to his master. And where you have people thinking that they're the one, the propensity for delusion is vast. Where you find someone on a more basic level who thinks they know more than other people, then you've got a great possibility of delusion and losing the way. So there always has to be someone who is guiding you through your following. And who your being that they're leading is will give you how their leading is. So two people may follow the same person, the same leader, but actually get that differently, given by who their being that the leader is. And that's an amazing thing. And so it's like, even if you get caught up with deluded, power-hungry, corrupted leaders, if your intention and who your being that they are is clear, their corruption will be their beingness, and their consequences will roll around for them, not necessarily affect you. And it's incredible. That's how the sincere, that's how the authentic and the real get protected. Because it's that incredible truth of there isn't a fixed way that person is, even though it seems like they're a certain way. We will never know how that person is, because they know themselves from the inside out, and we only see them from the outside in, and all of our lenses are different. So we all see everything differently. But power is energy under conscious use. And the word conscious is the point. Where we're conscious, no harm results. So it's not a given that power will definitely corrupt. Although I look at myself, it takes virtually, a little bit more money and I've noticed I've gone slightly squiff, or a little bit more respect and I'm acting differently, or a little bit more anything and it shifts who I'm being. I notice it. Oh God, look, there's a weird shift happen. I mean, it's not actually a very nice shift. So I have compassion for those people who are like totally powerful and lost in it, because it's a lonely place. Look at David Cameron. He's a lonely person. His wife tries to keep up with him, but really, what? How can she? He looked across at Gideon Osborne, and they're like, very, very powerful. They got the promise of Eden. There you are. Right, you're there. And Boris Johnson. They got it. They got the conditioning. They had the causes. They ended up, they're the most powerful people. And what? Are they happy? Are they compassionate? Do they radiate some great light for us all? Do they help us forward? Do we trust them? Have they actually generated any good feeling whatsoever? No. And it doesn't shine out of them that they're the ones. Yes, power is great. No. What it's feeling is corruption, lies, disappointment. And then what happens? If it's in you, you're going to be projecting it out. And then you're going to be scrabbling to retain it. Or think, oh no, if we just did it this way, we could tell that lie to get this point. And then the next thing you know, you're in a corrupted spiral that can only lead to disintegration and misfortune. The danger is then, of course, that they're taking responsibility for a country. But how amazing when that corruption was there, then just because of what the people's intention is, somebody like Jeremy Corbyn in the UK, somebody like Jeremy Corbyn just comes out of nowhere. Someone with integrity that everybody immediately feels safe to trust without really even knowing him. But there's something there. Also in political view, you see Tony Blair. Tony Blair, youthful enthusiasm, but his identity was not formed, was not realised. So the minute he was offered real power, real American style, you're in if you do this kind of power, he sold the entire nation. We've got some classic stories of corruption around us. But, you know, it's just part of the picture. And my feeling is that, you know, there's no point being depressed by what is going on. The point is to look within and develop equanimity and to develop peace and to seek clarity and to share. That's it, I think.